guys, it is Tuesday morning and we're going to do third grade math and first this week of Miss Harrison's quarantine. And just so you know, Avery is doing all right today. Sore throat and really tired, but I have been shoving all kinds of herbs and medicines and everything else that she could possibly need. Okay, so third grade, let's look at our biblical worldview for math that we're doing this term, and that's 1 Kings chapter 18. I'm going to start with verse 17, and I read a little bit of this yesterday to show the numbers. Elijah was one prophet that was serving the Lord at this time, but Ahab had like 450 prophets that were serving Baal. And 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table. So a lot of prophets that were serving Baal. So what we're about to see is like a showdown between the two. And we're going to see that numbers don't matter when God is in it. And he can use one that is standing up for him to show his glory and to show his greatness. And so I'm going to start with verse 17. And it says, when he saw Elijah, meaning Ahab, he said to him, "Is that you, you troubler of Israel?" "I have not made trouble for Israel," Elijah replied, "but you and your father's family have. You have abandoned the Lord's commands and have followed the Baals. Now summon the people from all over Israel to meet me on Mount Carmel." So Elijah's kind of throwing down the gauntlet like we're talking about in history. "And bring the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table." So Ahab sent word throughout all Israel and assembled the prophets on Mount Carmel. Elijah went before the people and said, "How long will you waver between two opinions?" You know, you're trying to have one foot where you're serving the Lord and one foot where you're serving and worshiping Baal, and you have to choose. You can't go both ways. "If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him." But the people said nothing. Then Elijah said to them, "I am the only one of the Lord's prophets left, but Baal has 450 prophets. Get 2 bulls for us." Now, a lot of the idols were made to look like bulls. They were fashioned in to look like bulls back then. "Let them choose one for themselves and let them cut it into pieces and put it on the wood, but not set fire to it." So we're going to basically make a sacrifice. "I will prepare the other bull and put it on the wood, but not set fire to it. Then you call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord. The God who answers by fire, he is God." So we're testing. We're seeing whose God is real. Then all the people said, "What you say is good." Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, "Choose one of the bulls and prepare it first, since there are so many of you. Call on the name of your God, but do not light the fire." So they took the bull given them and prepared it. And then they called on the name of Baal from morning till noon. "Oh, Baal, answer us," they shouted. But there was no response. No one answered, and they danced around the altar they had made. At noon, Elijah began to taunt them. "Shout louder," he said. "Surely he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought or busy or traveling." It's kind of funny. "Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened." So they shouted louder and slashed themselves with swords and spears, and as was their custom, until their blood flowed. Midday passed, and they continued their frantic prophesying until the time of the evening sacrifice. But there was no response. No one answered. No one paid attention. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come here to me." They came to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord, which was in ruins. Elijah took 12 stones, one for each of the tribes descended from Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, "Your name shall be Israel." With the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he dug a trench around it large enough to hold 2 seahs of seed. It's a type of measurement. He arranged the wood, cut the bull into pieces, and laid it on the wood. Then he said to them, "Fill 4 large jars with water and pour it on the offering and on the wood." "Do it again," he said, and they did it again. "Do it a 3rd time," he ordered, and they did it the 3rd time. So we're supposed to call on the Lord to set fire to this bull, but Elijah is adding water to it. not once, not twice, but 3 times. The water ran down the altar and even filled the trench. At the time of sacrifice, the prophet Elijah stepped forward and prayed, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil, and also licked up the water in the trench. When all the people saw this, they fell prostrate. They fell flat down and cried, The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. Then Elijah commanded them, Seize the prophets of Baal. Don't let anyone get away. They seized them, and Elijah had them brought down to Kishon Valley. All right, so we're going to stop there. So, one prophet. And Baal's had, the idol Baal had all of these prophets, and they cried all day out to him for him to light the bull as a sacrifice. Nothing happened. So then Elijah goes and has water poured on the bull that he had prepared on, and God brought fire to it. Isn't that amazing? We serve such an amazing God. And He's not concerned about numbers. Numbers are important. But the greater the number, is not necessarily how He shows Himself. He shows Himself through the one. So I like that. All right, 3rd grade, yesterday we talked about writing 3-digit numbers. We have to listen for the hundreds when we're hearing that number. And if we hear hundreds, we know we're going to have a 3-digit number. So if I said 462, 400, you hear the hundred, so I know I'm going to need 3 spaces. 462, and I'm going to write it just like that. 462. All right. And then remember, we talked about the teenager numbers. They always like to be first. Everything revolves around them. And so when we hear a teenager number, we're going to hear teen. We're going to hear the number and then teen. But that teen means that there's a 1 in front of it. Okay. So like if I decided to do 417, I would do 400. I hear the 7 next, but it's a 17, so I'm going to put the 1 first and then the 7. Okay, so we got to be careful of that. If that's confusing you, talk to Mrs. Veroni about it, or she can text me and I can go over it again. Anyway, I'm so glad she's there to be able to help y'all. All right, so your lesson today is lesson 72. And we're going to talk about ordinal numbers. Does anybody know what ordinal numbers are? We have our regular numbers, right? We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ordinal numbers are how you say numbers when you have things in order. And so order, ordinal numbers. Do you hear the same term in there of order? So we're going to talk about ordering things up to 20. All right. My question is, if I had people in line and I wanted to say who was at the beginning of the line, would I say he is the 1 in line? He is 1. Is that how you would say it? How would you say it? Okay. Hopefully you said he is first in line. All right. So the 1 is going to sound and have the ST after it, all right? First. Would I say he is number 2 in line? Or he is 2 in line? No, what would I say? All right, hopefully you said second, and that's going to be with the ND at the end. And I would spell it this way, second. What about number 3 in line? Would I say he is 3 in line? No. See, ordinal numbers have their own sound to the letters. And so hopefully you said third, and that would be your RD. If I were to abbreviate it, these are abbreviations. And if I wrote it out, I would have, so first has the ST on the end, second has the ND, and third has the RD. And that's how I'd write it abbreviated. Now, all the other numbers are going to be the numbers, all right? So starting with 4, when I say he is 4 in line, No, I would say he is fourth. And there we have our TH, right? He is fourth in line. And we keep saying that fifth is sixth. And so I have some vitamin C packets because I feel like I'm homeschooling and I'm just finding what I can find. And so I'm coming around and let's see.